On the vibrant island of Amami Oshima, where emerald forests meet crystal-clear seas, the venomous Habu snake had long haunted the lives of locals, hiding in the undergrowth and casting a shadow of fear over the community. In the late 1970s, desperate for relief, officials introduced the Indian mongoose, a species celebrated worldwide for its reputation as a relentless snake hunter. Inspired by stories like Rikki Tikki Tavi, they set 30 mongooses loose in 1979, believing these nimble animals would wipe out the Habu and bring peace to the island. The logic seemed sound. Bring in a natural enemy, and the snake numbers would drop. But there was a critical oversight. Habu snakes are creatures of the night while mongooses are active by day. Their worlds almost never overlapped. Instead of preying on snakes, the mongooses adapted by hunting birds, raiding nests, and feeding on small mammals to survive. The islanders' hopes rested on a plan that ignored nature's timing, a mistake that would only become clear after the damage was done. Warnings from previous failed mongoose introductions elsewhere were brushed aside in the haste to find a quick solution. Residents watched as the mongooses vanished into the thick vegetation, unaware of the ecological risk they had just unleashed on their home. The island's delicate balance was now in jeopardy, with unforeseen consequences looming on the horizon. What seemed like a straightforward fix collided with the intricate web of life on the island, where every species played a vital role. This was just the beginning. The island was about to discover that nature's problems rarely have simple solutions. Before mongooses arrived, Amami Oshima was a subtropical paradise, home to unique species like the Amami rabbit and rare birds. The island's animals had evolved in isolation, with no natural predators like mongooses. Ground-nesting birds and slow-moving mammals thrived in a delicate balance. Islanders lived in harmony with nature, respecting the Habu as part of their world. The ecosystem was stable, resilient, and rich in biodiversity. Vulnerability was the price of this peaceful isolation. The introduction of mongooses would shatter this balance. Native animals had no defenses against such a predator. The paradise was fragile, and the arrival of mongooses would soon test its limits. The house of cards was about to be shaken. At first, the mongoose experiment seemed to work. Reports of fewer Habu snakes spread relief and optimism. The mongoose population grew rapidly, celebrated as a public safety victory. More mongooses were released, reinforcing the belief in their success. But the real impact was hidden. Mongooses rarely encountered Habu due to their different activity patterns. Instead, they feasted on defenseless native wildlife, deep in the forests. The early success was an illusion, masking the damage being done out of sight. The focus on snake encounters blinded officials to the broader ecological harm. Confirmation bias kept the program going, even as the ecosystem began to unravel. The invasive population became entrenched, making future solutions harder. The calm was deceptive, and the real crisis was only beginning. The island's balance was quietly tipping. The cost of this mistake would soon become clear. Over time, the dark side of the mongoose introduction emerged, revealing consequences no one had anticipated at the start. Native birds like the Ryukyu robin and Amami jay, once common sights in the forest, began to vanish at an alarming rate. Unable to effectively hunt the elusive Habu snake, mongooses turned their attention to easier prey, ground-nesting birds, their vulnerable eggs, and small mammals that had no natural defense against this new predator. The Amami rabbit, a rare and ancient species once safe in its secluded habitat, now faced a new, relentless predator that threatened its very survival. Frogs, lizards, and insects unique to the island, many found nowhere else on Earth, disappeared from mongoose-infested areas, their populations decimated. The ecosystem's intricate connections unraveled, causing cascading effects that rippled through every layer of the food web. Even plants suffered as pollinators and seed dispersers were eaten, leaving flowers unvisited and fruits uneaten, halting the cycle of renewal. By the 1990s, the mongoose was recognized not as a savior, but as a destructive invasive species, threatening both wildlife and human livelihoods. They raided chicken coops, destroyed crops, and became a persistent pest to humans, adding economic hardship to ecological disaster. The original goal was lost. The solution had become a far greater problem, with the mongoose now out of control and the Habu still at large. The irony was bitter. The attempt to control one pest had unleashed another, far worse and far more difficult to contain. The island's natural heritage was under siege, its unique species pushed to the brink of extinction. The mongoose was no savior but a plague, multiplying rapidly and overwhelming the fragile ecosystem. The consequences were devastating and far-reaching, a stark reminder of how a well-intentioned solution can spiral into an environmental catastrophe. In 1979, hope filled the air as mongooses were released to fight the Habu. Local officials and conservationists believed this bold move would finally protect the island's people and livestock from the venomous snakes that haunted their fields and homes. By the mid-1980s, farmers celebrated fewer snake sightings and saw mongooses as allies. The community felt safer, and the fields seemed more inviting as the threat of snake bites appeared to fade into memory. Unseen, mongooses raided nests, wiping out generations of rare birds. Their appetite extended far beyond snakes, and soon, the chorus of native birds began to disappear from the forests. By the late 1990s, scientists found native species like the amami rabbit missing from former habitats. The once thriving undergrowth was eerily quiet, and the loss of biodiversity became impossible to ignore. Mongoose tracks were everywhere. Silence replaced the once vibrant wildlife. The forests, once alive with movement and sound, now felt abandoned and empty. Community meetings turned somber as data revealed catastrophic declines in native animals. Charts and reports painted a grim picture, and concern spread through the villages. By 2004, the mongoose population exploded to 10,000, becoming a common pest. They roamed freely, invading every corner of the island, from remote forests to busy village streets. Families shooed them from picnics, farmers lost eggs and crops. The animals that were once welcomed as protectors now threatened daily life and livelihoods. Habu snakes persisted, proving more resilient than expected. Despite the influx of mongooses, the snakes adapted, and their numbers never truly vanished. The mongoose, meant to be a hero, was now a widespread nuisance. They raided garbage, entered homes, and disrupted the fragile balance of island life. The initial optimism had soured into regret and alarm. Residents looked back, questioning the wisdom of their decision, and wondered how things had gone so wrong. The ecological nightmare was undeniable. The island's unique wildlife and natural beauty had been devastated, leaving scars that would last for generations. The lesson: quick fixes can spiral into long-term disasters. What began as a hopeful solution had become a cautionary tale for conservationists everywhere. The island's story was a warning unfolding in real time, a vivid reminder that nature's balance is delicate, and every intervention carries consequences that may echo for decades. By 2004, the ecological crisis was undeniable. The mongoose population, from 30 to 10,000, had invaded every corner of Amami Oshima. The island's unique identity, the Galapagos of the East, was fading. The Amami rabbit was critically endangered. Native birds and reptiles had vanished from much of the island. The forest, once alive with sound, grew eerily silent. Economically, mongooses became a major pest, causing millions in damages to farms and poultry. The original goal to make the island safer had backfired. The Habu snake problem remained. Mongooses and snakes rarely interacted. Now the island faced two pests: the original snake and a new destructive invader. The flawed plan had created a complex, costly disaster. The price was paid in lost biodiversity and livelihoods. Amami Oshima became a textbook case of ecological miscalculation. Confronted with disaster, Amami Oshima and Japan launched a massive mongoose eradication effort in the 2000s. Scientists and conservationists led the charge, deploying thousands of traps and using detector dogs. A mongoose-free zone was established, and the team pushed southward, section by section. The mongoose busters became local heroes, working tirelessly to restore the island. Community involvement was crucial. Residents reported sightings, allowed access, and spread awareness. The mission became a shared quest to revive the island's soul. As mongoose numbers dropped, native species like the Amami rabbit and rare birds began to recover. Frogs and lizards reappeared in places they'd vanished. The forest slowly returned to life. The fight continues, but progress brings hope. The story shows that with science, dedication, and unity, nature's wounds can begin to heal. Recovery is possible even after decades of damage. Amami Oshima's resilience offers a message for the world. Amami Oshima's story is a cautionary tale about meddling with nature. The planners saw a simple problem, too many snakes, and tried a simple fix. But ecosystems are complex webs, not machines with interchangeable parts. Introducing the mongoose triggered a trophic cascade. harming birds, mammals, and plants. Every action in nature has unpredictable, far-reaching effects. The disaster could have been avoided. Similar mistakes had happened elsewhere, but history was ignored. The lesson: conservation must be guided by science and humility, not wishful thinking. Quick fixes often create bigger problems. As we face new environmental challenges, the temptation for silver bullet solutions remains. Amami Oshima warns us to respect nature's complexity. Playing God with ecosystems can have disastrous consequences. The price is paid by the innocent creatures and fragile worlds we aim to protect. True stewardship means learning from the past and treading carefully into the future.